Good evening and welcome to the Planning Commission of the City of Moreno Valley. I now call this meeting to order on September 26th at 7:03 p.m. May we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Brugueras,
Yeah.
Commissioner Stephen,
Present.
Commissioner Harris,
Here.
Commissioner DeJeanette,
Here.
Commissioner Corsick, Vice Chair Baker,
Here.
Chairperson Sims.
Here. Okay, any volunteers for the pledge today? Yeah. Okay, please stand. Oh, yeah, oh, I'm sorry. Alvin's. Thank you, Alvin. Thank you, Raphael. Okay, we're now going to move to the approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda as submitted.
Okay, we can do a second.
Second.
Okay, we have a first by Commissioner Baker, second by Commissioner Harris. All those in favor? Vote, please. Working? Or
I show Commissioner Brugueras.
Doesn't it?
or no, that's right. It's, the mover and the second is
Is it supposed to say yes on the screen?
The star should be
if you
there.
voted, it should say, if you voted yes, there should be a star there.
Roll call vote.
Roll call vote then, okay? Or you want me to do it?
Waiting.
Okay.
Waiting for your signal.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Commissioner Brugueras,
Yes.
Commissioner Stephen,
Yes.
Commissioner Harris,
Yes.
Commissioner DeJeanette,
Yes.
Commissioner Corsick,
Yes.
Vice Chair Baker,
Yes.
Chairperson Sims.
Yes. All right, the motion carries 7-0. All right, this public comments procedure, any persons wishing to address the commission on any matter either under the public comment section of the agenda or scheduled items or public hearings must fill out a request to speak form available at the door. The completed form must be submitted to the secretary prior to the agenda item being called by the chairperson. In speaking to the commission, member of the public may be limited to 3 minutes per person. Except for applicant for entitlement, they have what they need to do to answer the questions. The commission may establish an overall time limit for comments on a particular agenda item. Members of the public must direct their questions to the chairperson of the commission and not to other members of the commission, the applicant, the staff, or the audience. Okay, the next item is public comments on any item not on the agenda. So are there any speakers?
No,
tonight?
sir.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is approval of the consent calendar. I guess
We have no items, sir.
my packet, so we don't have any. So we're moving right along here. There's no non-public items. So the next item is on the agenda is the public hearing items. Item 1 is a conditional use permit to allow a retail cannabis dispensary in Empire Gardens. So can we have the staff report, please?
Planner Deanna O'Malley will present that report. Mr. Chair.
Good evening, Chairperson and members of the Planning Commission. I am Dina O'Malley, Contract Associate Planner. For your review today is the application for consideration of conditional use permit Pen 19-0005 for the proposed retail dispensary. As shown on the slide, the proposed use is located on the west side of Heacock Street and approximately 200 feet north from Hemlock Avenue. The current zoning of the property is community commercial. The project consists of combining 2 existing units into 1 unit for a total of 2,355 square foot unit. A parking study was conducted by K2 Traffic Engineering, Inc., which proposed floor plan modifications. Based on the parking study, there is adequate parking available within the center, inclusive of the proposed dispensary. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission approve Resolution Number 2019-27 and thereby certify that the project is categorically exempt from the provisions of the California Environmental Quality Act under CEQA Guidelines Section 15301, Class 1, Existing Facilities, and approve Pen 19-005 conditional use permit subject to the attached conditions of approval included as Exhibit A. This is some pictures of the existing site as it is today. The floor plan was modified and is consistent with the municipal code standards. These are the current elevations. There are no proposed modifications to the exterior of the building. This concludes my presentation. Staff and applicant are available for any questions.
Thank you. Do commissioners have any questions of staff?
I have a question. On page 6, under access parking number 3, it says reverted office analysis assumes all of the spaces within the center have reverted to office use. Was the ARC part of this, or what? I remember there was discussion on this before.
The purpose for that analysis is that the ARC was not it's not looking at the center as it's developed today. The center as it's today is a resource center, an office facility, a vacant commercial suite is proposed, and then a massage business. Those businesses combined actually result in a lower parking requirement than would an office use, specifically referring to the massage business and the resource center. So therefore, staff asked for a worst case scenario, if you will, by saying that all of the uses, with the exception of the cannabis business, reverted back to an office at some time in the future to demonstrate that there would still be adequate parking on site.
Do you have any idea what it would be as of today, though? I mean, you're talking future, maybe that'll happen, maybe it won't. I'm just curious about the existing conditions.
So the first 2 analyses that are identified in the staff report identify the current configuration and show that there is adequate parking based off of the current layout. The second analysis is based off of ITE rates and looking at the site usage over a day's period of time, both for weekday and weekend, and looks at a most extreme circumstance, which it found that it was also under the requirements. That's why we went to that that's why we went to a third analysis as well, to see what would occur in the event that it was all to revert back to the office use only.
As on the existing condition analysis, does that would have existing would be with the proposed occupancy with the cannabis business, or was that with being an office, assumed office?
No, it's the existing plus the cannabis for both the first and second analyses that were done.
Is there any, in the little center right now, in that parking analysis scenario, is there any vacant space still within the site?
No, sir.
Okay, so the whole thing is, all right. And then just for people that watch this, what is ITE?
Institute of Traffic Engineers is what
that-
ITE stands for. They put out documentation related to studies that identify various parking counts for areas and how it demonstrates on how it should be used. Parking should be assumed over time based off of various analyses that group has done over many, many years.
So that's the standard that traffic engineers and planning
Yes, sir.
officials use?
Yes, sir. That's we have a copy of the 10th edition. Just got it a couple of months ago.
Do we have any other questions from the commissioners?
Question. I'm just curious, what changed from the last time they presented it with the parking, and they said that actually there wasn't enough parking, and there would have to be off-site parking? Where's the big change now?
The change was actually in the assumption of the massage business, in which it identified that there were additional stations within the massage business, which actually increased the number to 35 to 36 versus 35 as it is today.
Okay, I also have a question with that. They're saying that they're only allowing one parking for that massage part. I mean, there is an owner, which will be on site, and he has to park somewhere, and there will probably be a client, or maybe two, if there's two stations. I'm just kind of baffled that only one was allowed for that.
That is how our parking standards are actually established.
Okay, because, I don't know, it didn't make sense to me as a business owner.
Raphael?
I went by there this morning to survey the parking and the business, the way it operates. By looking at page 38, Tuesday, Saturday, 37, 38, and 39, the way the survey was taken, it's true that at 8 o'clock in the morning, what you have there is majority of the employees that work for the nursing home or the adult home. And they take up quite a bit of the parking space. They take up 18. Okay? After 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 18 of those parking spaces become available because they go home. There's plenty of parking for everybody there if everybody cooperates with one another. That's what I saw this morning. The adult center needs to do their part by getting the buses out on time when they get there, and the bus drivers drop the adult patient on the parking space, and they need to come out and get them out soon than later. And it worked real well this morning because I saw it work well. When everybody works together, everybody gets in and everybody gets out, and there's plenty of spaces. Again, they take up 18 spots. According to the survey, they're entitled to that. Just like the cannabis, if it gets approved, they're entitled to their 11 spaces. And everybody else get their spaces according to the square footage of 225. Everybody gets a space in there. So I don't see a problem with parking in that particular place, especially Saturday and Sunday, early morning hours, and after 4 o'clock. Between 9 and 4, yes, you see 25, 24. It's because the same cars that parked at 8 o'clock in the morning are still there. But after 4 o'clock in the afternoon, everybody goes home, and there's a lot more space. So I'm glad for the survey that came out, because I understand now how people would have complained the first time there's not enough parking. But with the survey clears that up. There is a lot of parking if everybody cooperates with one another.
Any other questions?
I just want to know, I don't even think it's really probably our, whether we're going to approve it or not approve it, but what happens if it's up and running and everything's, in theory, it's going to be one way. In the paper, everything's going to be great. But in practice, it becomes a nightmare. What does the city do about that?
In terms of the overall,
Like, say on the peak times, because that's when you're really going to see whether it's going to work or not. On paper, they're saying you can have 35 parking slots and everybody's going to, if everybody cooperates and does their part and everything. But what if it doesn't go that way and you've got a fiasco up there with the parking, with the buses? I mean, I know it's probably not our issue as planning commissioners, but I'm just asking the question, does the city address that later, at a later date, if there is a problem? Because that shopping center is so confined and so closed off that it's kind of like, it's hard. It really is. There's only one way in, one way out, and, there's no backside to it. There's no alleys. And what if it becomes a nightmare?
We can always take a look at this down the road as it's operating. We assume that we will be looking at these to see how they function. If there was a significant parking issue, we would look at all of the tenants to see where the problem was arising from. If it was something that was unique to the cannabis business, we would address it with them.
Okay, yeah, because there's people that have asked me about that because they know that shopping center. And they said they used to have, I think, a little dance studio up there at one time for kids or something. And they said that they had an issue with that too at that time. So I don't know. I mean, like I said, it's probably not our issue as to whether we're going to pass it or not. But I was just wondering if that would come into play later.
We do assume that we'll kind of be keeping track of how they're functioning and make sure that everything runs smoothly. But I would, at the same time, keep in mind that other types of uses could go in with a similar outcome. So we would look to see if there was some drastically high usage on the part of a CUP holder and take a look at that if we need to.
Right, because the other places that we've approved, there's excess parking, where this is kind of like right there on the numbers.
And I think that would be my concern too, because right now the parking is tight, and where's the room for growth? If I was a business owner, I'd say, hey, I'd get started, and then I want more people to come in and grow as a business and have more people coming in. So when that it's already tight for parking, I'm limiting my space for room for growth. So it looks like, if it's the businesses that we see, it's going to grow and it's going to be a potential problem down the road. So it's something to probably keep a close eye on.
Any other comments? Commissioner Hurst?
Yes, in the parking study on packet page 31, it says that the parking spaces is apparently sufficient. Now, to me, apparently sufficient sounds, it's kind of like a weasel word. I think that word apparently, either it is sufficient or it isn't sufficient. So that was one of my comments. And then the total parking spaces for the cannabis shop is 11. And they have 2 mandatory required spaces. Now, are those 2 spaces actually part of the 11, or do they actually have 13 spaces?
the 2 are considered part of the 11. They need to be secured on a temporary basis for when they're doing their operations of, pickup and deliveries.
And the other thing is that I noticed that it looks like there's going to be some kind of signage on the windows. Is there any one that can tell me what that signage is going to be?
Signage is not approved with the conditional use permit. I believe you have a condition of approval indicating that any signage would come back for approval.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you.
I'll double check that real quick.
Okay, are we, any more questions of staff? Okay, time is to move to the, if there's any public comments. So do we have any public comments?
Yes, sir, we have two.
Okay. Welcome to whoever submitted speaker forms.
Scott Logan and Aaron Stream. Scott Logan would be first.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the Planning Commission. My name is Scott Logan. I'm a broker owner of United California Realty, celebrating 10 years in business at this center. So I've been there 10 years, and the parking has never been an issue, partly because I made sure that we would keep an open space for the buses to come in and out. And but we do have an issue with homelessness. We have homeless people there starting fires, leaving dirty needles around. And I think that's a greater problem for the resource center than having a secured, with security, cannabis operation there. What else? We have a 1,500 square foot empty suite now. There's nothing, if we decided to put somebody in there that didn't require a CUP, the Planning Commission would have anything to say about that. And we would have, we could have a same parking issue if we were to put somebody in that didn't require an approval, right? So I think it's kind of a false alarm about this parking issue. It's I don't see it as being an issue. Everybody cooperates very nicely in the center. We all understand that respect for one another and each of our businesses. So what else? I've lived in this town for 20 some years also. So I think we need the tax dollars and revenues in this town. Obviously, we have a lot of street repairs that need to be done, homelessness issues. I'm calling the city almost every day, the police department, getting their resources out there to remove these homeless people. And I think with them coming in there, having the security there, we won't have those issues and we won't be taking up the resources of the city, but also providing resources to the city at the same time. I guess that's about it. I don't have anything else to say, but we do have an empty suite there. It wouldn't require a planning commission to fill it. And again, I don't anticipate the parking being an issue with everybody that cooperates in the center. And other than that, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Aaron Stream.
Good evening. My name is Erin Stream. I'm the Executive Director of the Arc of Riverside County. We operate an adult daycare on 12199 Heacock Street, and we're in Suite 5, which would be right next door to this dispensary. At the facility, we care for 75 individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. It is a medical facility. The population attending has severe disabilities. We are against the dispensary moving in next door. We believe that it is the duty of the city to protect our most vulnerable population. I understand that there are zoning laws that state that dispensaries cannot be within 600 feet of schools. I do feel, and I believe very strongly, that that should extend to dependent adults. The reasoning, the proximity, and the reasoning behind those laws should extend to these individuals. Another issue that we have is the armed security guards that will be present in the area. Many of our clients have communication barriers. An armed guard that doesn't have appropriate training might inaccurately perceive a threat due to these communication barriers. It is not uncommon in our society to see things like this happen. There are these are just some of the difficulties that can and do arise. These individuals may not respond to a command from a guard because they don't have the motor coordination to do so. Our lease is also up in 3 years. We had no intention of moving anytime soon, and we would feel compelled to. This would essentially force us to move for the reasons that I've stated and several other reasons. And it is a financial hardship for us. Relocating a facility will cost us tens of thousands of dollars. We are state funded. We have limited reserves. We have limited resources. So we've been members of that neighborhood and this community for decades. And I do feel that it feels as though we are not as much of a priority in this situation. So we hope that at the Arc of Riverside County that you reconsider this approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers?
We have one, Joshua Nagar.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Joshua D. Nagar. I'm a compliance consultant for the applicant. I do compliance for many shops outside of the desert, and I wanted to bring a few things to the Commission's attention. This applicant right here is one of the first licensees in the local area and the state outside of the desert to get a license in Paris. They've actually also the only shop to be audited. So they've been financially audited, they've been vetted, they've ran a very successful shop for a multitude of years. And I might add that that shop has less parking than this shop, and there's been no issue whatsoever with the city. So this is one of the cream of the crop as far as your applicants go. One of your few applicants, I think, if any, that have experience in the industry. Other than that, I would point out that the laws Ms. Stream indicated about not being next to a school specifically indicate a K-12 school, specifically exclude adult education. Now, the laws of the state of California for cannabis, they took over a year to write them. They went up and down the state, it's a long state, meeting with all sorts of people, engineers, health workers, you name it, and they wrote the law as it's written today to indicate protections for K through 12 and to not provide protections for adult education. So I would also add, and which more importantly to everyone and Ms. Stream, is that this applicant uses Green Shield security. Why is that important? It's a leader in the industry. It's widely known as the cream of the crop as far as security guards go. Sure, it's a little more expensive, but it's known to be the correct security for this type of business. So we're proud of our security protocol. We're proud of the security team that we've identified to use. They're vetted. They've been used in the industry, to my knowledge, without incident or material criticism. And we believe the security plan, the vetted nature of this applicant, and the laws on the books as they stand should beg the approval to go forward. Additionally, I would add, at any time, the applicant's willing to work with the commission, the council, or the community to address any issues that can come up that were not foreseen. Thank you, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Okay. So,
Chair, since we haven't heard directly from the applicant unless Mr. Nagar was all they're doing.
Hello everybody, it's my second time Shadi Awad here. The first time we came here, we also got approval from the comments, and we extended it because we believed that you guys wanted to see a parking study. So we had our engineer go out. They said everything looks good, you're good to go. Go for it. We said, let's do extreme measures. We went to the city of Moreno Valley. We said, hey, do you guys have a list of a team that you guys have used in this area? And we went to the top, which is K2 engineers. K2 engineers didn't come up with the one study or the two study or three, came up with 5 different things that said if everybody left the center, the worst case scenario we went to, office, you would still comply. We changed the interior of the layout to say, worst case scenario, we're going to comply. We're telling you we're going to make this thing work. And again, I can't again emphasize enough, your concerns are our concerns. There's not going to be an issue with the adult resource center. When we looked at the paper, it was not daycare. And if the laws, when we got the map, it didn't say that this place couldn't go. If it was going to say this place couldn't go, because it would be a daycare center, but it's a resource center. And the majority of the parking is available after 4 o'clock and on Saturday and Sunday, and that's the majority of our clientele. And again, last time I came here, I did ask you guys, we have a shop in Paris, 4164 North Paris Boulevard. I asked you guys to come out and check out the shop. I know you guys got a few calls and people said, hey, come check out the center, how it is in Moreno Valley. We asked you guys to come out to Paris and see how a good run, clean business for this cannabis industry does. Because people don't know what a good, clean business in the industry is. They just see what they've seen the last 3 to 5 years in the industry. It's completely opposite. Everything comes in license. Everything is tested. We're the people that everybody comes to, hey, audit, let's audit them. Come on down, we passed it. Hey, let's do compliance. Come on down, we passed it. We go above and beyond what we think is the average because that's what we expect of each other. You know, we're from Moreno Valley and we're not gonna make our city any less worse than what you guys think it is. And you know, I'll say our team is gonna make sure that, you know, when we're operational, that you're gonna say, man, that's the team that we should look at. And then City of Moreno Valley has cameras, CCTV cameras that are on all the time. It's an annual license or a triannual license that they could take away at any time. So this isn't the one step. We've been in this step for 2 years. And this is a growing partnership. So say in a year from now we do something wrong or the city thinks we do something wrong, guess what? They can pull our license. And I'm glad they can because they can pull everybody else's license too. That's the best part about this industry. You guys are holding people up to the standards of compliance. And we're telling you we are complying. Allow us the right to comply. And if you guys see anything or the community sees anything, there's restrictions or there's rules and guidelines for us to go beyond that. So first time we came, we said there's a parking issue, we need a parking study. We did that. We did the extreme. And the parking analysis from the Moreno Valley said, you have passed the extreme. I don't know what else to tell you guys. But you know, when we get our license, you guys are free to come to Moreno Valley. You guys are more than welcome to come to Paris at any time while we're open. It's a good, clean, run business. It's changing the way people think about cannabis till this day. Any questions or concerns? I'm here for you guys.
Any questions?
I was wondering, are the state permits, are they still taking about a year to get through?
Yes, and the Paris one, it took us about a year to get the medical license, and the rec license took us 17 months to get. So we're one of the few people that have state and medical, rec and medical in the industry. And we're Inland Empire, we're down the street. I don't want to tell you how many hundreds of thousands of dollars we've already gave to our agencies, but we pay the right thing, we do it the right way, and the community will benefit. I don't know if it's legal for me to say how much taxes we pay. There's 42% tax on cannabis in the city of Paris. You got 24% of the excise tax, you got 7.75% for the state tax, and then you got another 10% the city tax. There's a big thing, I think a misunderstanding of what people are thinking, what's going on with this. I don't want to say the shops like ours make the community better because the money comes right back in, and you hold us to a higher standard, which we accept. And you guys should hold everybody to that standard. Not just me, everybody with a cannabis license in the city of Moreno Valley, allow them to operate and hold them to a higher standard. The city deserves it.
Any other questions? The applicant?
I do, sir.
Yep. Phil.
Welcome back to step 2.
Thank you, sir.
I have looked at this 3 times. The first time it came out, the second time it got canceled, and I'm looking at it again. And what I've done for myself, is to make sure that the staff, from the first time that you showed up to right now, that the rules and the laws are the same. So I gathered the sheets together and looked at everything to make sure that everything that you might have got approved the first time is still here today. What's important to me, that you say that you're going to continue to comply with the rules and the laws of our city. I want to make sure that you help our law enforcement when they come in, or the video, or any given time they want to inspect your shop, that there's no hesitation for that at all. That's very important for many of the residents that live in Moreno Valley. That safety is number one, that you and your staff will comply by the rules if you get approved tonight. I looked at it all. That's one thing I don't play with, is the rules of the cannabis, because they have to protect our kids, our adults, that they are at the center, and everybody that walks by that place. And there's many people that walk by that place, because I saw it this morning. People do walk by that place, especially to the donor shop, when they go to the donor shop. So I'm glad that you continue to say that you're going to continue to comply. And if you don't, you said it yourself, we'll look at it again at the end of the year to see if anything's changed. And we, whoever's here in the future, I hope they make the change for the better.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions of the applicant? Okay, thank you.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
So I think that concludes our public comment portion. So I think it's time for deliberations by the commissioners.
I'll start.
Okay.
I certainly don't doubt that this is quality operation, so my comments are taken in a different context. Over the last 2 nights, I've been on the internet checking out articles written about developmentally disabled people being shot by armed security guards. We've had it at Costco, they've had it in Texas. The internet is full of this, which is happening in this country. The state of Maine says 50% of their shootings are coming from people shooting developmentally disabled people. I think the project is a good project. I don't think this is the right spot for it. To put an armed guard next to a group of people who could lunge at you, that they are not, this is what is happening. I think we really put that aspect of the community at risk. And you cannot guarantee that a security guard is going to know how to handle it. We have policemen that have even shot and killed people lunging at them that are disabled. So I'm very nervous about the location of this, not the quality of the project or the people doing it. But I think we put those people that have that spot already at terrible risk by putting it next door.
Other commissioner
Yes, sir.
comments?
When I was there this morning and I got out of my truck, the first thing I saw was the homeless people hiding behind the electrical box, smoking something. I don't know what it was, but I didn't go across the street to find out. But I did take a video of it, okay? So I like the rules. I like the camera. I like the security that it will bring to that plaza, because with the security guard, no one can be hanging out at the plaza at no given time while that dispensary is in business during those business hours. The camera helps everyone there if there's a crime that's committed at any given time of the day or night. The security guard with the weapon, okay, we hope, like she mentioned, that no one gets shot. But they are having a professional organization to be there. I hope nobody gets shot. But at least we know that the security guard will only benefit the center with the adults, the spa, the real estate business, when someone's there watching over them. I saw it this morning. It would be a lot better for everyone in that plaza to have a security guard, with a gun or not, to look after them during business hours. It's very important to keep the plaza safe. And it costs no one else any money but the dispensary. They pay for it all. So that's a benefit to everybody that's in that plaza or walking alongside of the sidewalk. If everybody cooperate with each other at that plaza, everything will go well. I hope that the center never leaves, because it does a lot of good for the men and women in Moreno Valley when they go there for recreational time, and it gives a lot of the caregivers freedom to do other things. Find the solution to work with it. I wish every plaza had a security guard that mandated them that nobody can hang out. It would be a lot safer in the city of Moreno Valley, but we're not there yet. One day we might be, if everybody helps each other. So I like what the staff does every time when they make the rules hard for an applicant to come do business in the city of Moreno Valley. It's very important for the residents to know that we, the commissioners, take that seriously when we vote on anything in the city. We make our priorities safe. Our first priority is to be things to go safe. And I believe that the applicant would do that, or he would not be here today.
Any other commissioners have something they'd like to say?
Yes, I do. I believe that the fact, it's very unfortunate that there is a center there and they are disabled mentally, but we as planning commissioners have a duty that if the applicant meets all the criteria, which I believe he has, we really do not have a viable reason not to give him the conditional use permit. And it has nothing to do with, like the gentleman with the real estate said, if they had another tenant in there and they didn't have to have a conditional use permit. The trouble is that this applicant does. So we have to go by that as commissioners, and that's why we had the parking study, because there was an issue with the parking. Now, I don't believe that the center qualifies as an exempt area where we would say, well, they can't be there. It's unfortunate, and I think that myself as a planning commissioner and what I've been told and what I went to a conference and a training about is that unless we really have a viable reason, we really can't, because it opens us up for a lot of unfortunate things that can happen and come back on us. So basically, the center has that lease for 3 years. I'm hoping that in those 3 years that everything gets resolved and all their worries, maybe they'll renew the lease because they'll see that maybe it's not as bad as everybody thinks. I hope there is not a shooting up there. I hope that the security up there is sensitive to these people, and I'm sure that the owner will talk to them and really, I know sometimes things happen, but I'm just bound by my duties as a commissioner that I probably will end up having to pass it because I myself, even though there's a lot of issues there, I think I have a duty not to, not pass it, even though, you know, I have questions about certain things, but like I said, I don't believe, as a commissioner, we even have, you know, the grounds for it, so.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Harris.
Yes, I was just, I'm assuming that most of the time the security guards that will be there on a routine or some type of regular basis. So they're going to know what they have next door, and they're going to be able to, you know, take precautions, and there won't be, I mean, if it's somebody brand new that you don't know, then I'm sure that, you know, one of the first things you can tell that security guard is, hey, this is the situation, this is what we have, and, you know, sometimes they, you know, you might have somebody coming at you, and, you know, just as long as they know that they're mentally disabled. I think that should take care of it.
Commissioner Desjardins.
Where do I start? I agree with my partners up here. Sometimes I think, you know, with a moral compass, it's kind of like, I understand the laws, and for me, I do agree with some of the statements that were taken about 600 feet from a school. I think that's really close myself for a school. But when I think about that, sure, I want to make money, but just because it passes or it complies with the law, should I be able to put one at 601 feet or 602 feet or 610 feet? It's still pretty close to a school site. My hope is that there will be some consistency with the security, and you get the same person there on a regular basis, and pretty soon they get to learn the people that are there. And I would hope that the cannabis shop would maybe put it in their routine to have morning briefings with security and say, hey, this is what we got going on, and they will develop some type of policies, procedures, so that they do avoid any type of mishaps. The other thing, too, is that, you know, it's not just that if somebody approaches a security guard, they're just going to shoot them. You know, some type of law has to be broken, you know, for a security guard to be unarmed to say, hey, I might have to take my gun out and defend myself or the place. You know, it has to be a break-in, or some type of law has to be broken. So there's not just, hey, you're approaching me, I'm going to shoot you. I don't think that's going to happen. So I hope everything works out. I hope everything, you know, goes on the good foot there, and just maybe develop some policies and procedures that can help eliminate some of the potential problems that we may foresee, or that you may foresee.
Any other commissioner comments?
I just want to address one thing. I do believe it's a public safety issue against the most vulnerable of our population, and I feel in good conscience as a commissioner I can vote no on that, because even though everything is perfect on the paper, there's something that's not on the paper that is inherent in what's happening in our country right now. The issues of people being shot, from everything I read, are people lunging, not even having a weapon, just lunging in a threatening way. Well, we can say we hope there is no incident, but God forbid an incident does happen. So I feel that even though everything is in place, I still believe what's not in place is a viable public safety issue in this location. And I want to make sure we see the potential of what can happen that doesn't happen at other sites. And so I am going to vote no in good conscience.
I think there's been a lot of good comments made up here, and I guess, you know, kind of I do hear what you're saying, that, you know, the risk of guns, and I mean, that's everywhere. You can go to the bank, you can go to just about any place, and there's, you know, weaponized people to do what they're supposed to do in certain times. What it kind of puts me into a little bit of I'm leaning towards voting approval of this For a variety of reasons. One is it's meets all the specific council codes and the rules that's been established by the city, that it meets the planning requirements. But as far as with this issue about safety and the guards and proximity to the resource center, there's also the responsibility of the resource center to get these people in and off the bus and they have some responsibility there and some, I would assume, some control if these challenged folks are left in their care and to get in and out or so. And I would tend to believe that the guards are not they're there to look for the nefarious acting people that are trying to steal the product at the cannabis, or to shoo off people that are doing drugs or smoking the pot or doing whatever they're doing and loitering in the parking lot. So, and I further think that having the cameras and trying to clean up, there will be these ancillary benefits to the center to keep it clean and cleaner, and probably have less nefarious activity than there may already be there right now, putting these folks at risk that we're concerned about. So anyhow, that's one commissioner's 2 cents. So any other comments? Do I have a motion then? It's that time. Very exciting.
Okay, I'll move.
We got a first. Do we
Okay,
have
I'll move that the Planning Commission approves Resolution 2019-27 and thereby approve the conditional use permit PEN 19-0005 based on the findings contained in this resolution and subject to the attached conditions of approval included in Exhibit A.
Have a second?
I'll second that.
You have a second. Okay. My screen is, oh, there it is again. Okay. Well, let's everyone vote, please.
Actually, I don't have a yes.
I can see it here. We're going to have to do a roll call vote.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brugaris,
Yes.
Commissioner Stephen, Commissioner Harris,
Yes.
Commissioner DeJournette,
Yes.
Commissioner Corsick,
No.
Vice Chair Baker,
Yes.
Chairperson Sims.
Yes. So we had a vote of, let's see, what, six yeses, 1 no. Okay. Do we have a staff wrap up?
Wrap up. Thank you. The action taken by the Planning Commission tonight is an appealable action. Any interested party that would like to file an appeal would need to do so within 15 days. An appeal filed would be directed to the Community Development Director. It must be in writing, stating the specific reasons for the appeal along with the appropriate filing fee. If any appeal is received, it would be agendized for consideration before the City Council.
Thank you. Good luck with your business. All right. Item 2 is tentative track map 37462. Can we have a staff report?
Staff report will be presented by Senior Planner Sean Kelleher.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman and members of the Commission. Sean Keller, Senior Planner. The project before you this evening is a tentative track map for the subdivision of a 1.7 acre vacant site into 8 single-family residential lots and 4 lettered lots for private street and water quality purposes. The subject site is located on the north side of Bradshaw Street, near the intersection of Cactus Avenue and Moreno Beach Drive. The project site has a general plan land use designation and zoning designation of residential 5, consistent with the surrounding parcels. The surrounding parcels are either developed with single-family residences or are currently vacant. Here we have the layout. Here we have a layout of the tentative map. As previously noted, the tentative tract map will subdivide the site into 8 single-family residential lots and 4 lots for private street and water quality purposes. Staff would note that the responsibility to maintain the proposed private streets and water quality features will be the responsibility of the property owners within the tract. Staff would also note that each of the proposed single-family residential lots has been designed to comply with the development standards of the Moreno Valley Municipal Code. Therefore, staff recommends that the Planning Commission approve Resolution Number 2019-33 certifying that the project is categorically exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act, and approve planning case Pen 18-0080, subject to the conditions of approval. That concludes staff's presentation. I'm available for any questions.
I really apologize. I had grabbed the wrong packet today. I read the packet 3 or 4 days ago, and then, so I'm fuzzy right now. But on this, this is, can you put did you have a zoning map on this? Was there a zoning map?
This here is the zoning map, sir.
Okay. What's the use between Moreno Beach and, Bradshaw, the private street going up?
The properties to the south, sir?
Well, it's all along the frontage along Moreno Beach. Be the west side of this project down all the way to Cactus.
So the properties located on the west side of Moreno Beach include a commercial shopping center. The properties along the east side of Moreno Beach are zoned currently R5, and they are vacant. Or residential 5.
To the east is R5. No, this.
Yeah, all of the contiguous parcels are zoned R5.
I can't read. I guess my concern is, I think it's a clever design to get, pack in these lots, with the private streets and, smaller width and stuff like that. It just seems like that corner, absent these two houses that are fronting Cactus, around this little Bradshaw circle, this is a prime piece of potentially for commercial or higher density. So I don't have a problem. A person can do what they want with their property, but this property on a corner, what's the interface between this proposed track and the property that would be between the track and Moreno Beach? Is that future commercial, or what is that?
No, sir, that is single-family residential of the same zoning. It is also R5.
And is that, okay, well, can't presuppose what we don't know. So there you go. And what are the lots on the two houses on the front Cactus? Those are like acre lots, and the two lots in front on the south side of Bradshaw, those look like half acre lots. What are those?
Those lots would be approximately 3/4 of an acre. The site, as noted, is 1.7 acres. It comprises 2 parcels, so it's somewhere between 3/4 of an acre and an acre in size.
Is Bradshaw Circle currently? It's a private street as it is, right?
That is correct, and it is maintained by the Bradshaw Circle Homeowners Association.
Which is currently what, 2 people or so?
It would be all of the property owners that have frontage along that street.
Fronting, so even the side yards on the front, the current houses that front Cactus have their driveway off to Cactus, they'll be part of the HOA?
That is my understanding. I would defer to land development if they can confirm that or not.
Yeah, what is the scope of the HOA? Is there an existing HOA now, or is this to be formed, and do the existing property owners, are they going to join up?
There is an existing HOA out there today.
Ask for clarification on something. On page 2, under design landscaping, that second paragraph, it says through appropriate conditions of approval applied to the project approval. What would be appropriate conditions of approval? Can you give me an example?
So the appropriate condition of approval is the application of them becoming an HOA, and that HOA is being established to maintain the private streets as well as the water quality management features that are identified as the 4 lettered lots within the development.
So is there going to be, like, consistent with other tract development, where there'll be street trees and is there street lights, or is this rolled curbs? I really, I didn't bring my stuff with me today, so. But are these, you know, is there gonna be street trees, street lights, or how's this work?
For the ultimate right-of-way design, I'm going to defer to land development.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. Michael Lloyd with Land Development. The project has been in condition to construct what is identified as Street A up to city standards. And as the discussion has gone, it will be a private street in an interim condition until such time that Bradshaw Circle would be brought up to city standard, and then the city would then contemplate making it a publicly maintained street, including Street A at that time. So hopefully that provides
So what does
some
that mean,
clarification.
It's gonna be built to finished condition right now. So the city doesn't allow something substandard to go in, developer goes away, and then the city has to do a CIP project to bring it up to standard?
That is correct.
Okay, which is correct?
That Street A will be built to our current city standards, so that's what's in the ground upon completion of the project. What's lacking at the moment is Bradshaw Circle is not up to current city standards, and therefore it is not maintained by the city. It is a private street at this time.
And the frontage coming off of the lot, the 2 lots that have side lots, or side to Bradshaw, the street improvements will be fully all the way out on those?
Along the frontage, that is correct.
Okay. And so somehow on the track map, it'll be an offer but not accepted on the Street A and so forth.
That is correct.
Is there any kind of deed restriction or requirement that the city has to place that, or something in a covenant that has to be done that requires it in the future, if and when the rest of this property, well, when this, I must say when, we'll be optimistic, when the balance of the property all around here develops, that these streets will be turned over?
Correct. That would be negotiated through the CCNRs. We would work with the applicant prior to those being recorded prior to the map. So that would be a part of the discussion.
So, and then I guess the only other thing, so I'm going to my bookends, my pessimistic bookend, and so everybody develops all the way around the track. These 2 3/4, half acre, 3/4 on the south side of Bradshaw, they're holdouts, and does that hold up the whole street? Is it the last guy in that triggers everything to go public, or?
Potentially, yes. So the applicant, we've had ongoing discussions with the applicant. They do have the option to go ahead and build out the portion of Bradshaw Circle back to Cactus so that it would be a city-maintained street accepted for maintenance by the city. So the applicant does have the option of either going the HOA route with a private street, or going the route of improving Bradshaw Circle up to city standard, and then the city would then accept it for maintenance.
Does the underlying parcel map or whatever created the 4 lots south of Bradshaw, was there offers of dedication? Because it kind of shows the street, the property lines, at least on this exhibit, going out the center line of Bradshaw. Are those offers of dedication there to be taken?
Yes.
To be used? Okay.
That is correct. There are recorded parcel maps with offers made and not accepted at this time.
But the city can exercise that right.
We can exercise that right, correct.
Thank you. Any other commissioners have questions of staff?
So that would include sidewalks and streetlights and things that we would have, in the rest of Moreno Valley. Those would go in soon, and we wouldn't have to wait 5 years or 10 years for, if, these other lots are not developed.
That is correct. So it would include streetlights, sidewalk, curb and gutter, pavement, asphalt pavement, as well as the necessary drainage, catch basins, and so forth.
Thank you.
Any other staff questions? Right, then if the applicant wants to come up and give us.
Evening, Chairperson and Commissioners, Jeff Anderson. I'm the applicant's engineer. I'm basically here to mostly answer questions. I'm sure we've been up here on more complicated projects in the past and had a lot more interaction going on, but this is a pretty straightforward project, as you noted, with the 50-foot wide right-of-way cul-de-sac, but which will be built to standards, and I've had several discussions with staff on this. As we move forward, I will be the engineer of record as we move forward on the project. Nothing terribly complicated. The applicant is well aware of their ability to improve all the way out to, as I think it was Cactus, and but has chosen not to do that. It's quite a bit of an expense to refurbish that road, a lot to it, and I think, diving into that, not knowing how it was constructed and how much that would be, he would be probably not willing to take on at this point in time, but definitely work everything else up to standard, as well as water quality features and everything, so we'll be completely compliant in all those regards. But I am here to answer any questions you might have, although staff's done a great job of answering them so far.
Any questions of the applicant, commissioners?
If this project gets approved tonight, what time frame would it start?
Actually, the applicant has expressed a desire to move forward quickly and has already got us moving on the final engineering of the project before it was approved, so we are moving quickly. I think he would like to break ground within this year. I think that's I don't want to hold him to that, but he's mentioned that he'd like to move forward. Anxious to get moving. This application has been through the city for some time, and he was kind of anxious to get moving.
I've got one question. So many of these, we get these tentative tracks coming in here for approval. There's not a chance that they're going to get ready to sell this, because if you get it subdivided, then obviously it's worth more money, right? I mean, the lady's really going to move forward with this. That's what you're telling us?
The applicant, he is moving. Yes, he, as far as I can understand, he is going to be building the project.
So it's a go, right? If we get approval, okay.
That's the again, everything is subject to market conditions, as you know, and tenders take their time. But as I understand, the applicant is not looking to subdivide and sell. I understand he's moving forward.
But the applicant is aware of the expense of putting the utilities underground, the curb and gutter, and I mean, it's a big deal here for, I don't know how long, is that a quarter of a mile there or better?
Yeah, it's actually very short. It's I think it's only probably 4, 7.
Yeah, it's like 300 feet.
It's relatively easy in that regard. Obviously, as we start to get into the final engineering, you start looking at the utilities, and you've got wire lines out there. You gotta make sure that those are up the right size. There's a lot of work still to be done in that regard. Tentative maps are great. They get you through this process, but then the real work is trying to get into the engineering of it and understanding all those pieces.
On those utilities, going back to that, and I didn't quite understand that, is the utilities up to the property line, or you got to bring them in from Cactus somewhere? Or?
As I understand, more than likely there probably would be, as far as dry utilities. I don't know that there would be any dry utilities in the road at this point in time. I don't know the answer to that question. That would be something we would research. I do know that there is a water line and a sewer line that runs through the project, as well as a fairly significant storm drain that runs down adjacent to the project in front. So that is which would be the biggest component of this entire project, is already ready to go. So that's kind of a nice feature.
Thank
I hope I've answered the question.
I think it does. Yeah, it's got it covered.
Any other, Commissioner Harris?
Yes. What would be the approximate price point for these homes?
I actually do not have the answer. Engineer here, so I'm not quite the person to answer that question. I think they want to try to find a place that fits the market, for the lot size and whatnot. But Those are definitely questions that they would like to know as they move forward, but I don't have an answer to that question, sorry.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Question. I was thinking the same thing. You put 8 homes in at $600,000. That's $4,800,000 basically. Then you're looking at utility lines, street lights, sidewalks, streets up the code. That pretty much eats into with only 8 homes there.
Development is
Relatively speaking, there's very little work to get 8 lots.
Really?
This is a ideal piece of property for.
spoke right out of the words out of my mouth. It is actually a very efficient layout for a project to maximize that.
Yeah, I
yield.
was thinking the same thing he was thinking, because you get the folks come in, they change the zoning, they change the lots, doesn't go right, then they say, hey, now the property's worth a lot more, we sell the land, make a little profit, now we're out of here.
That is why people do, invest in real estate for those exact reasons. But this does, as far as I understand, this is not this applicant's.
Right.
Yeah. Any other questions? Thank you. I think I messed up a little bit. I think I forgot to ask if there's any public comments, but there was only him, so I didn't mess up too bad.
I think you're safe on this one.
Anyhow, I apologize. Okay, any deliberations we'd like to deliberate on? Or if,
I'll start. The nice thing about the project is going to accommodate the rest of the homes that are there on Cactus. If you go down Moreno Beach, heading west, east, probably west or south, and you make the left, you see the homes on the far right, and if you go further down, heading towards I believe Redlands, you get to see K&B. K&B, KB Homes has done wonders for Cactus and Redlands Boulevard. It's improved the entire neighborhood. All the houses across the street from it, and this project and future projects that are going to be coming there, because that's what we need on that side of town, is more housing to finish up the dirt lots that are there. So I'm glad the applicant, the investor, decided to do the 8 homes to start it off. I hope later in the future, we have big companies like K&B Homes and other ones that will come in and finish up the rest of the property that's there and make Cactus what it should be, a gorgeous place to live at, especially with the shopping center there and Moreno Beach all the way to the lake. And it's easy when you make a right. There's the freeway, Walmart, the auto center. I mean, everything on that side of town is coming together, finally. There's people that are taking chances to invest in the city of Moreno Valley, and I'm glad that this project is at the center where it should be.
I tend to think that this is it's a good little project, and I'm gonna vote yes on it. So, for whatever that's worth. Any other comments, or we can take a motion?
I think this is a good project if we approve it tonight. When I first took a look at the project, I thought, wow, this almost looks like it's landlocked. But, when I drove out there, it's looks like it could be a very good site. Got a beautiful home across the street from it, so, okay, thank you.
If there's any no further deliberation, then we can take a motion.
Okay, I move that we approve resolution 2019-33 and thereby approve tentative track map 37462 PEN 18-0080 based on the findings contained in this resolution and subject to the attached conditions of the approval included in Exhibit A.
We have a second?
I second.
Okay, we have a first and a second, Commissioners Baker and Bergeris. We can vote, please.
Roll call vote.
Oh, it's a roll call this time.
Commissioner Bergeris,
Yes.
Commissioner Stephen,
Yes.
Commissioner Harris,
Yes.
Commissioner DeJournette,
Yes.
Commissioner Corsick,
Yes.
Vice Chair Baker,
Yes.
Chairperson Sims.
Yes. Okay, carries 7-0, unanimous, very nice. And so do we have a staff wrap-up?
Yes, please. The Planning Commission's action tonight is appealable. An appeal for a tentative track map must be filed within 10 days of your action. The appeal would need to be filed in writing to the attention of the Community Development Director, accompanied by the filing fee. And if an appeal is filed, we would agendize it for City Council consideration.
Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is staff comments. Do we have any to?
I do not.
Good. All right, next is commissioner comments.
I would just like to ask a question. I'm looking at the chart on the dispensaries. So we have issued all the provisional business permits for those, and we have 22 applications in process. So we're pretty full up. There won't be any new people applying for these?
The provisional business permits were all issued, so conditional use permits have been filed by all of the applicants that are going to. And you're right about the numbers, so we do expect that you'll be seeing some more, but no new provisional business permits are being issued at this point.
Okay.
I have a question. I see there's our tax dollars at work billboard signs, the 4x8 plywood. I have one out at the corner of Redlands and Dracea, Redlands and Dracea. What are my tax dollars going to do? So is Redlands going to get rid of the potholes, or are you going to put new curb and gutter in there?
My understanding, and I apologize, I don't have the CIP in front of me, but my recollection is that's a repaving project for that segment of Redlands, essentially from, I believe, from Eucalyptus back down towards Encilia. I believe that's the segment, and it's to repave the two existing lanes.
Well, it'd be nice if it went from Dracea all the way up to.
And it may go down to Dracea. I apologize, don't have it in front of me.
Well, that's where the sign is, so I'm keeping my.
Then that's probably where it is then, yes.
I see it every day, and I'm waiting for it. The dust to get dusty. There you go. All right, is there any other? We're good to go? Okay, let's adjourn this meeting at 8:23 until the next meeting on October 10th. Have a good night.